Malika Andrews, and we're just 5 weeks away from opening night, and the pursuit of ring number 5 will be underway for two of the league's all-time greats, Steph Curry and, of course, LeBron James. And we really got to savor watching these guys while they are still doing it, my friends. But I got a piece of trivia for you. Do you happen to know how many players have won 5 rings? Do you? 26. 26 players have enough jewelry to deck out an entire hand. And look at this, even fewer have that and multiple MVPs. We're talking about Russell, we're talking about Kareem, Magic Johnson, of course, Michael Jordan, and Tim Duncan. That's it. That's the list. And the thing is, odds makers, they don't exactly see a 5th ring in the cards here for either of these future Hall of Famers, at least not this year. The Lakers and the Warriors, they have the 9th and 11th best odds to win the title, respectively. All right, so with that as a backdrop, look who's here. We got a couple of NBA champs in the house. Kendrick Perkins, he's beaming in from home. Richard Jefferson with us in studio. Janae Agumake, Tim Bontemps here with me to help put up with these two brave their antics.
Yes.
Richard, you played, should we say it, a major role in one of LeBron James's 4 championships.
Key role. Should we say
a key role? And now we're going to stop showering Richard with compliments. What needs to happen for LeBron to win a 5th?
Well, again, this is a fun topic because we're in. Are we still in September?
We are. Yes.
We're in September. This is September topic time. So let me just say this. Realistically, we put way too much pressure on LeBron, the Lakers, and all this stuff because they are the Lakers. But to ask that question, in 2001, I came into the NBA, and so did Michael Jordan. So to ask Michael Jordan what they would need with the Wizards to win another championship, this is similar. Yes, Michael Jordan didn't have Anthony Davis, but ultimately you look at an incomplete team, an incomplete roster from the standpoint is they don't have enough dogs, and Perk is probably going to get in this. But I will say this. You look at the defending champions, the Boston Celtics. The Lakers are 3 all-star players away, caliber players away from being on their level. 3 all-star caliber players. That's how far the Lakers are away from being on the same tier as the defending champions. And the defending champions.
So are you saying the Celtics have 5?
All-star caliber players.
Yeah.
2
and
of
the
them won
Lakers only have 2. I'm just breaking it down to make sense. Yeah.
You talk about Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, all-star caliber.
White.
Then you talk about White, all-star caliber. All-star caliber. Right. 2 of those guys run the
I hear
team.
You.
So what does it need to happen? Something miraculous that we don't know about. Jesus Christ could come down and play shooting guard for them.
Spalding and Wilson coming down.
I don't know what could happen, but I wish him the best. We'll be watching the whole story.
No, RJ, you're so wrong, bro. Like they're not that far off. They're not that far off. Like they don't need to be calling on Jesus Christ, right? Like think about this for a second. Answer this question. How many teams in the Western Conference, if the Lakers were to match up with them in a 7-game series, would you pick the other side?
How many teams would you pick, Richard, to match up the Lakers in the Western Conference?
Well, this is the thing. I would say that we're talking about winning a title. We're not talking about going to the conference finals. They are good enough to upset a team, to get a good matchup.
Right, but how many? So if you said how many teams are you picking the Lakers in a series?
In a series, I think there's probably 3 teams that I wouldn't pick them over.
Okay.
I wouldn't pick Lakers over about 3 teams. It would be the Denver Nuggets. I would probably say OKC and then probably Minnesota Timberwolves. Those would be the 3 teams that I would say that the Lakers going in, because ultimately we know your next tier of guys are the ones that really win you championships. The next tier of players. Your stars have to be dominant, but you're going to look at every series and say, this guy helped them win this game. This guy helped them win the game. And you got to do that for 4 series.
Yeah, but RJ, it's not that far off. I believe that they're one other all-star, superstar caliber player away, right? We saw this offseason, everybody pretty much, especially when you look in the Eastern Conference, they got better with the Knicks picking up Mikal Bridges, right? Philly getting Paul George. The people who are really trying to make noise, they went out and quote-unquote got a 3rd star. And so when I think about the Lakers, and I said this last year, Richard, you felt the exact same way. If the Lakers had DeJounte Murray last year, do you think they would have had a better chance of beating the Denver Nuggets or possibly beat the Denver Nuggets in that series?
Oh, 100%. You would have had a person to answer Jamal Murray hitting all those game winners. But you can't buy a player that's not for sale.
Who said he wasn't for sale?
Rob Pelinka said it at the trade deadline.
Yeah, but I'm saying because he didn't want to give up Austin Reeves, but we're talking about if you want to maximize LeBron James because he has so much in the tank right now, then you probably should go out there and make a move to get a player of that caliber to come in.
Let me bring a little sanity in here. Perk, you're right, because Richard, you're saying they need 3 players. Perk, you're saying they need 1. I think they need 2. They need star production. They need star production from their role players. Perk, the best thing that you have ever said on this network is that you need to have role players that are stars in their roles. That's what you embody. That's what got you here. That's what made you great. That's what makes championship teams great. When I crunch the numbers, you look at D'Lo, he's only averaged 14 points per game the last 3 years in the postseason, shooting around 38%. When I look at Austin Reeves, he's had pretty decent numbers, 17 points per game. But the thing is, we haven't seen the consistency when it mattered most. You need those guys to be stars in their roles when it matters most. Those are the 2, because their issues are shooting, their issues are scoring, their issues are playmaking. They look at Reeves as a playmaker off the ball, one-on-one, in the dribbling, getting to the rim.
Reeves wouldn't start for the Celtics.
That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But look, we're gone from the day. Like, the Celtics are loaded, and they're going to have to pay the cost of that. Literally, how long can they keep this core? The way that the NBA is moving is that based off of, what was it, like the second apron? Like, well, we need Woj. We got Tim here. The way that the NBA is moving is you need 3 really core guys. You can hopefully pay for 2, but it's a luxury to have 3. Look at what Philly is doing. Look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. You need 3. If you don't have 3, then you need to at least have guys that sort of spread the wealth amongst that. That is their role players, and their role players have not been consistent enough, nor have they matched the skill set necessary shooting from 3 to be able to give them consistency over the course of 82 games and then some.
We're ultimately talking about a team that had their 2 star players play a combined 147 games last year and was in the play-in tournament. This is not a team that's good enough to win a championship. You just said they have issues with scoring, shooting, and playmaking. And you were correct, by the way. You were completely correct. We are talking about this because of the Los Angeles Lakers, because they have LeBron James on the team. They are not anywhere near good enough to win a championship, and there's not a path to them getting there.
Wait, the only thing I push back on is, would our narrative right now be different if they drew anyone other than the Nuggets?
Yes.
Would we be believing in them?
No.
I know that they needed to bolster their team, tweak, and that's on them for not making any wholesale changes.
Right.
I know they have some picks where they can have some flexibility, but I feel like if they made it to the second round, if they did not draw the Nuggets and had some success, we might be feeling a little bit better on the Lakers than we were now.
When you win a championship, you beat everybody. So we can't just say the team, and look, the Nuggets didn't go to the conference finals
They lost
last year.
in the second round.
So it's like, and the Lakers
lost key players.
And they lost key players. I mean, again, the Lakers are a fine team.
Very good.
We're talking about, can they win a championship?
Sure.
Like, there's no qualitative reason to think that other than
I agree.
Why are you looking at me like that?
And Richard started this segment by putting out the question. It's like asking, what did Michael Jordan need with the Wizards? Well, one thing that LeBron James has is the way that he is playing about to turn 40 years old is unprecedented, and it makes us believe and think in the way that he talks, in the way that he wills the most out of his body, makes us believe that he could do literally anything.
I'm not betting against him. I would never bet against him. But basketball knowledge tells us that this team is 3 players away from being 3 players away.
The truth is, it's really disappointing that the Lakers have a team with 2 All-NBA caliber players in LeBron and AD, and they're nowhere near winning a title. That is a failure in the way they've built the team, and it's a failure on the way they've run the team the last several years. Well, you look at how those guys played this summer with Team USA, they're good enough to be factors on a team that's competing for a championship. The reason they're not is not because of LeBron. It's not because of Anthony Davis. It's because of, as Janae said, the lack of talent around them, the fact they have issues with scoring, shooting, playmaking, every other part of their team.
Right, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but also when you look at the health of Anthony Davis and LeBron James last season, when they were largely healthy and playing at an unbelievable level, to think that they can then improve on that again.
It's more likely they miss the play-in than they make the top 6.
Okay, I ain't say all that now.
It is. That's the truth. Just, again, because of health, to your point.
Well, that's your opinion. This is the fact. You did release a story this morning on ESPN.com talking about the NBA's plans for expansion. And anytime we're talking about LeBron James, we know that one eye at this point is also on maybe ownership in the future and expansion here. Do you see it as realistic that he owns a team? And do you see that it maybe is more realistic than winning a 5th ring?
It's definitely more realistic that LeBron James is an owner of a team than he wins another title. Because, again, we've seen Bronny James is now playing with him, his son, in L.A. He's clearly boxed into being with the Lakers now going forward. It's hard to see a path to them being good enough to win a title. You got
Does a
something to add?
5th ring count if he does it as an owner? Because I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
I'm going to say
That's
yes.
a win-win.
MJ didn't do
GOAT
it.
debate. I can already hear the
They get
LeBron folks
you get
GOAT
rings either
debate
way.
saying that
You know what I'm saying?
If you want to say
that didn't
both,
happen
but
for
if-
Charlotte.
It didn't happen for Charlotte for sure. So he's got a chance to outpace Michael as an owner. But yes, I think
That's
there's a
not
chance.
hard.
Oh, my gosh.
I think there's
Wow.
a chance that LeBron is the owner of the team in Las Vegas. There are a lot of hurdles to that happening. That team is going to cost potentially $6 billion.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Maybe get the Tom Brady deal.
Maybe get the Tom Brady deal, but Tom Brady is also not running the Raiders, right? And
Yeah.
LeBron wants to run the team. So there's a lot of things that have to happen. But certainly, we're going to see over the next 2 or 3 years this expansion talk really ramp up.
Right.
LeBron's going to be right in the middle of it.
Well, LeBron James going for ring number 5 in just 5 weeks.
He's gonna get it either way.
Speaking of 5, there you go. We are 5 days away, Chiney, from the WNBA playoffs. There are massive seeding implications in play tonight. So let's just go a little coast to coast here. And we're going to start, friends, with the New York Liberty. They have a chance to clinch the top overall seed with a win over the Mystics tonight. So, Chiney, would home court advantage give New York the inside track to win it all?
You know, they are trying to make sure they do everything necessary to bring a championship to New York, to Brooklyn, to this franchise. But the crazy thing is, I'm looking at the Minnesota Lynx. They sort of have had their number no matter where they play.
Yep.
On top of it, Las Vegas, they're heating up at the right time, too. But right now, New York Liberty, they are absolutely the favorites going into the postseason.
Well, and Nafisa Collier told us just last week, hey, we're coming. All right, next up, the 2 seeds still up for grabs. Tonight's game between the Lynx and the Sun can make that final day of the season much more interesting, right? So, Chiney, what team do you think is more of a threat to make the W final?
No shade to my former team and one of my favorite players, Alyssa Thomas, who I had the pleasure of playing with for a couple of years. But right now, I'm looking at the Lynx. They are dark horses. They are, like you said, Nafisa has been great. They have a good system, and they know who they are.
All right, stick with me here, sis, because we have a 3-way tie for the final playoff spot. Right?
Crazy.
The stakes couldn't be higher. In Atlanta, the Sky, the Dream. We know there's no Angel Reese, but what does it mean that there's no chance for Chicago this postseason?
Look, I think it's difficult. All of these teams are trying to position them
With the Sixers,
And it's going to be put up or shut up time. This is the team. This is the moment. This is the time. You're not going to have chances like this.
Hopefully me and Joel and Tyrese get on the same page early as possible.
I already look at this big three and say that they have more talent than what Phoenix had last year.
This team could compete for a title right now.
Philly fans, what's up? It's your boy PG8, not 13. Cut the 13 out.
Well, the Sixers, they landed the biggest name in free agency, Paul George. We can't call him PG-13 anymore. He agreed to a 4-year, $212 million max deal. That was back in July. Big money comes big pressure, big expectations to win. The Sixers, remember, they haven't made it out of the second round since 2001. And as training camp approaches, Draymond Green, he wanted to wish PG good luck this season.
Did he?
Good luck, Paul George. Ooh. He better play well. They're going to crush Paul George if he don't play well.
But he's the 3 there now. That's perfect for him.
You know why they're going to crush Paul George if he don't play well? Because they already got a nasty taste in their mouth from their last 3 that they had.
With Harden and Joel.
No, with Tobias Harris.
Here's the thing. I married into a Philly family. Philly fans are passionate. That's how we're going to put it. Philly fans are passionate. So Draymond Green, he might have a little bit of a point there. The Sixers, they have a trio, though. They have all-stars in Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and now Paul George. So, Perk, how much pressure do you think is actually on PG to be the one to make this all work?
Well, look, Joel Embiid is under the most pressure for as anybody in the NBA to get it done this year at a high level when it matters the most. And you know who is second or third on that list? Is Paul George. And I don't want to hear about, he done been to conference finals and he done made his mark in the postseason and all that. No, it's about him getting to the promised land. And think about Paul George's journey, okay? Leaving Indiana, going to the Oklahoma City Thunder, where, you know, him and Russell Westbrook had a great thing going down there, well, a good thing going. You know, they had a future in front of them, then forcing himself out of OKC to the Clippers to team up with Kawhi Leonard, underachieving every single season, whether that was because of them, you know, injuries or whatever the case may be, they still never got past expectations to leaving the Clippers, and now pairing up with Joel Embiid, a former MVP, Tyrese Maxey, a young superstar on the rise. He's for sure top 3 in the league when it comes down to guys under pressure.
Okay, a little story time. Stay with me here. So I was 8 years old when I left Los Angeles, California, and my mom was from Philadelphia. We took a Greyhound bus all the way to Philadelphia. She reconnected with my stepdad. They were married for 35 years. So I have Philly experience, small bit. Mom and stepdad both from Philadelphia. Every Philly fan is under pressure because they hate their team. And I say hate their team because they're like happy, they're unhappy. It doesn't matter if it's the Eagles, it doesn't matter if it's the 76ers. And I'm sorry, Eagles fans, last night was a rough one, so I hate to give you this stuff. So my point that I'm trying to say is that's just Philly. For Draymond to be over the top and be like, oh, they're going to hate. Boston fans are the same. Knicks fans are the same. If you haven't been to a conference finals since before I was in the NBA.
I thought it was 2001. Right?
Okay, and I came. No, last year they were in 01. That's when I went to conference finals. I came in 01 and 02.
I was just making sure.
So I'm 44 years old. What are the Philly fans going to see that they haven't seen for the last 25 years? What are they going to see? So what I'm saying is like the expectations on Philly is to get to a conference finals. We would be stoked because they haven't done it. That's not pressure. I still stand by the team with the most pressure is the Boston Celtics. They have a loaded roster. They are primarily healthy outside of Porzingis, who will join them, which is probably good that you only need him for half a season. But they have a loaded roster. They have an over-the-top cap space, and they can't do anything. So the pressure is on the team that is expected to win, not the team that is expected to do better than the year before.
But
that's just it.
Some of the pressure comes off. Perk, what do you say?
Oh, God.
I don't care.
Pressure, I feel like, Perk, I'm right here with you. I feel like there's more pressure when you are a team that has not yet won a championship and your team was designed to trust the process versus the Celtics who finally delivered a championship. Their guys are coming back feeling good. Their team is probably going to be pretty decent. Like, they feel like they can do it.
Was their
the
first
pressure is on
since
Philly.
08.
Yeah, but guess what? Now we're looking at the Sixers like, are you going to complete the mission this year? Because you guys, it was a high-risk, high-reward move getting Paul George. Perk said something. Most pressure on anybody. Did he say it was Joel Embiid or Paul?
Joel Embiid and then PG's top three.
There's a case for that to be true because if there's going to be pressure on other guys in the NBA, maybe Luka Doncic based off of how they fizzled out. But do we think that his team is better than what the guys in Philly have assembled from a big three core? No. Think about Dame and Giannis. Do we really trust in that core more than what Philly has assembled? Probably not. So overall, I think the pressure is on Philly to deliver. They've asked these fans to be patient, and now they have the perfect
be patient
team.
For 25 years. For
now
25
they
years,
have the team that can do it, and you're going to say, oh, there's no pressure on them.
There is no pressure.
No one knows these two teams better than Tim Bontemps, who has spent extensive time in both Boston and Philadelphia. You talked to Joel Embiid, right, just a couple of months ago exclusively about how he thinks his partnership with PG is going to go and his expectations for the season. How's he processing all of that?
I mean, Joel has been very vocal saying, all I have left to do is win a title. I've done everything else. I won MVP. I've won all these awards. That's fine. I actually think that where the Celtics thing comes in is I think the Sixers right now are where the Celtics were a year ago, where all we were talking about a year ago is, are the Celtics ever going to get over the top?
Yep.
What happens with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? Can they win together? What are they going to do with this team? How are they going to get over the top and finally win? And then they did, right?
Yeah.
So now they come back. Yeah, maybe they win another one this year, but they got over the hump. The Sixers are sitting there, haven't done this in all this time. Oh, get out of here. And now you're sitting
He was
here
bothering Malika.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's Tuesday.
What else is going on? And so the Sixers now are sitting there in the same boat where all they can do is win, and if they do anything less than that, it's going to be a failure.
Boston had how many conference finals and how many finals appearances?
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like the gap between them and Boston.
But the window is shrinking for them to be able to do it.
Also around Joel Embiid, which he, in talking to him, he is totally okay with, is, okay, we gave you James Harden, and that didn't work.
Right.
Ben Simmons, and that didn't work. If Paul George also doesn't work, he's going to be the first person to say, I want the smoke. But that conversation is going to happen. All right, Rich. Here's a question for you. Could a lottery team from last year reach the finals this year? Perk's bold prediction is going to have you thinking twice, I promise. Plus, we saw an unbelievable comeback last night on Monday Night Football, and it got us thinking about the top NBA comebacks of all time. Rich, you were a part of...
I was a part of two of those questions, by the way. I'm 2-0.
Monopoly on future draft picks underscores Warriors' urgency to win now. Some teams are built to win now, others are focused on the future, and then there's the Golden State Warriors, walking a fine line between both worlds. The debate over the Warriors' direction has once again taken center stage this offseason. While the team has shown a willingness to entertain trade talks for all-star caliber players, they've hesitated to fully commit when it comes to actually acquiring them. If you need further proof that Golden State must prioritize Stephen Curry and the current window for success, look no further than a recent article by ESPN's Bobby Marks. He outlines the immense draft capital held by several teams, which further highlights the Warriors' pressing need to capitalize on the present. Certain teams hold a virtual monopoly over future drafts, underscoring that the Golden State Warriors need to seize the moment. This should be particularly alarming for teams in the Western Conference. 4 teams hold control of the next 7 drafts, each with at least 12 first-round picks, and 3 of those teams, the Oklahoma City Thunder, San Antonio Spurs, and Utah Jazz, reside in the West. What's even more concerning is that both the Thunder and Spurs already have franchise superstars. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is in the MVP conversation, and Victor Wembanyama is poised to join him, possibly as early as next season. Meanwhile, the Jazz boasts their own all-star in Lauri Markkanen, whom the Warriors unsuccessfully tried to acquire this offseason. Oklahoma City topped the conference last season and is a strong favorite to do so again. Once Wembanyama reaches his full potential, it would take an unthinkable catastrophe or serious mismanagement to keep the Thunder and Spurs from ruling the West by the late 2020s. While the Warriors still possess 6 of their 7 future first-round picks, they owe a top 20 protected pick to the Washington Wizards in 2030, thanks to the Jordan Poole-Chris Paul trade. They're far from the most precarious position. But how will they compete with teams like OKC or the Spurs in a few years, when Curry is no longer at his peak? It would take incredible front office brilliance and a fair amount of luck. While Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski are immensely talented young players, they can't match the depth and talent stockpiled by OKC and San Antonio. The irony is that, to fully prioritize the current window, the Warriors would have to sacrifice their future draft capital, essentially giving another team more control over upcoming drafts. Mark's analysis serves as yet another reminder of the challenges Golden State will face in the years ahead and why it's crucial for the franchise to extract everything they can from their roster over the next season or two.